Hello and welcome! I haven't seen many games which both succeed at the job it's supposed to do and yet fail at the same time. That was until I played Toy Story for the Sega Genesis, a movie tie-in game which does a good job at being a game, but fail at being related to the movie it's based on. And to see why that is and how that affects the game, I'll be taking a look at it today. Check out our games from us at 16-bit Games, like Invaders from Space. Survive as long as possible and get the high score as the endless wave of enemies slowly make their way down to you. Play it today for free from the Apple App Store, Google Play, or the Amazon App Store. At first glance, Toy Story for the Genesis just seems like another licensed platformer game to add to the pile. It has generic enemies scattered around what feels like an insert license here themed levels, with some platforming haphazardly scattered throughout. But once you actually reach the end of the first level and realize that the game hasn't continued to the next, do you start to look a little deeper. The way you play Toy Story is much like how future objective-based 3D platforming levels do. At the beginning of each level, you're given an objective, and you complete the level by doing that objective, like giving the baby monitor to the army men or putting the toys away. This was quite unique, especially for the time. But the differences don't just stop there. Each level tries to be unique from one another, at least for the first half of the game. And beyond that, you also get different genres for different levels. One moment you could be doing a boss fight, and the next you could be doing platform, and after that you could be playing Doom. This just makes the game exciting, since unless you've played it before, you won't know what's coming up next. However, just because the game is different doesn't make it perfect, and the game does have some faults. The game is difficult, especially to newcomers who aren't used to platforming with characters as large as Woody. Woody's attack also has quite a short range and a long wind-up time. On top of that, there are questionable gameplay choices scattered throughout the entire game, and whichever developer thought it was a good idea to have a boss fight where you can only hurt the boss with a uncontrollable interactable object should have been stopped before they did it again. Luckily, they were stopped the third time. So as a game, Toy Story is pretty good, and if Toy Story was an original IP, we could have just stopped there. But since Toy Story isn't just a game, but a licensed game, I also feel it's worth looking at how well Toy Story handles its movie IP. If you were to keep in mind the limitations of the Sega Genesis, Toy Story almost works well as a licensed game. These are the characters I would expect in a Toy Story game. Woody and the gang look the way they should, and even as I platform around these levels, they look like they should in the movie. But at no point while I was playing through this game did I feel like I was actually playing through the movie, nor even a rough interpretation of the movie. From the beginning of the game to the end, I felt like I was just playing another generic platformer with Toy Story branded paint on it, and to me, it was very distracting. The closest that Toy Story ever gets to being like the movie is when it shows scenes from the movie, which ironically can just be disabled in the menus. If you want to see what a good licensed video game of the first Toy Story movie looks like, then take a look at Toy Story the Animated Storybook. The animated storybook does shorten the story a bit just to fit on the CD, but it's a literal reading of the movie, and it follows it almost perfectly. And when the story pauses and I'm free to actually look around and interact with the game, it does feel like I'm actually interacting with the movie. I can even play out a few scenes from the movie with my mouse. And sure, the animated storybook isn't as fun or as enjoyable as the Genesis game, but I still find it does a better job at being a licensed property about the movie than the Genesis game could ever hope to be.
This is my...
In conclusion then, Toy Story for the Sega Genesis is a bad license game. It doesn't represent the movie very well, and when it tries, it's sort of so-so. But as a Sega Genesis game, it's obvious that Traveler's Tales were focused on making Toy Story a good, fun, and challenging game. And as a result, Toy Story is fantastic to play, and surprisingly pushes the Sega Genesis hardware beyond the limit. If you're looking for a fun game, it's absolutely worth having in your collection, and I honestly really enjoy it. So if you're looking for it, go and get it. But anyways, thank you ever so much for watching. Hope you had yourself a good day, and as always, take care.